We are looking at chapter 3 today. And chapter 3 is talking about obtaining an engagement. Okay? Obtaining an engagement. What do we mean by obtaining an engagement? Okay? What do we mean by obtaining an engagement? Now, what you need to realize is that, remember when I took us on chapter 1, we talked about assurance engagement, okay, and also audit engagement. Now we are looking at obtaining an engagement. So when you're talking about obtaining an engagement, we are looking at what is obtainable or what happens in an audit firm or in an accounting firm. Okay, so accounting firm, they are firms that engage in the services or rendering of services in line with assurance services or audit services. Okay, so in line with that, we are looking at how do they go about it. Okay, now knowing fully well that accounting firm, audit firm, they are also an organization that is set up purposely also to make profit, but not to be a charitable organization. Okay, they make profit. The main reason why they set them up is for them to be able to what? To make profit, right? So because of that, they have to also seek their own clients, right? They have clients. Now, the reason why they have clients is because of the fact that they need to maintain the clients, existing clients, and also prospect for new clients. Okay, it's not only for them to maintain the existing clients, but also to prospect in for new clients. Okay, so all of this is geared towards being able to make profit. Okay, for the practice, right? That is the organization we call accounting firm practice also. Okay, so one thing we need to understand here is that for them to uh, make profit, there are certain things that they need to prospect to get new client, like I earlier explained. And when they are doing that, right, they are also reminded of certain rules, because there are rules laid down for them when they are trying to prospect for new clients. Okay, there are rules they need to follow. They are not like any other organization that can just um make adverts, then from there they can get their new client. No, there are certain rules that they need to follow, and these rules are already enacted and listed on the ICANN members code of conduct. So once you are an ICANN member, now you are still you are still under student membership. Once you qualify, you now become a full-fledged member. So you'll be entitled, okay. Of course, you are going to pay for it to have that document. So that document spelled out what are the guidelines to follow when they want to make adverts or publicity for their services. Okay, so if they act or acted outside these set down rules, they will have contravened the law or the regulations that are spelled out in the ICANN code of conduct, members code of conduct. So they have to act in line, okay, in that regard. So in a way of trying to market their professional services, these are laid down rules that they must follow. Number one, they must not bring into disrepute professional body, the firm, or the person as a whole. What does that mean? What that means is that at no time should they engage in sort of publicity, advertisements that will paint the institute in bad light. All right. So what that means is that if they are trying to prospect, they shouldn't be sure that they carry out due diligence of their prospective clients, that they will not go and prospect for clients that are into illegal activities. Now, when they do that, what happens is that it's going to tarnish the image of the institute and the profession as well. So they must ensure that they carry out due diligence to be sure that any client that they try to get they ensure that they follow all the laid down rules. Okay. Number two, they should not make exaggerated claim for services offered and qualifications. Okay. So what does that mean? What that means is that just be honest with the kind of services you can render to your client at any time. Be honest with the services you can render to your client at any time. So, for instance, let's say your client wants an engagement, assurance engagement in line with forensic counting, all right, or forensic investigation, and you know you don't have that expertise. Do not convince them or try to woo them in such a way that they are going to believe that you have competence in that aspect, thereby deceiving them, okay, to extort money from them. So what does that mean? So if you know you don't have the competence in that area, then you do not need to advertise. You don't need to say that you can do it. Okay. So if what you can do basically is just to carry out external auditing, carry out tax advisory services, that's all you can do. But you can also do outsourcing. If that's all you can do, that is your strength. So don't go and try to paint a picture that you can carry out forensic services where is I'm just trying to see the comments. Somebody is trying to pass away that they should move their mic. Okay. So what you are saying is that, hope you cannot hear me. All right. So they should not make exaggerated claim or qualification. So for instance, there have been instances when they have caught lawyers that are quack. They've been going to court to defend cases and sometimes even win cases, but yet they are not qualified lawyers. So that we are saying, so if you are not yet chartered and you have not become a member of the institute, then you cannot practice as an external auditor. Okay. Then number three, they should be honest and truthful in their advertisement. That is, they should try to be honest as much as possible what they can offer. They should not sugarcoat or try to convince those people for things that they do not have. Just be honest with the services you can render. If they are going to patronize you, they will patronize you. That's what we mean by that, being honest. Then another thing is that you must not discredit the services provided by other firms, and make disparaging references to unsubstantiated comparisons to the work of another chartered accountant. Now you can see, let me explain what that means. What that means is that, for instance, if you look at um, the institute, all the accounting firm, go and check. You will not see any accounting firm that says that we are the best accounting firm or audit firm in Nigeria. You will never see. The best you will see is that we are one of the best, we are one of the leading, okay, we are one of the foremost. That is what you can use, because when you say that you are the best in accounting, it means that, according to the code of conduct, it means that you are saying that other chartered accountants, other audit firms, they are second class or they are second field. Okay, that means you are making disparaging claim. Okay, and also it also means that, for instance, you want to try to prospect for a client, and the client now says you're not trying to compare it. You say, our own we charge 10 million naira, the other audit firm they charge 12 million naira. You can see our own is cheaper. You shouldn't make such claim. Okay, just see what you know or how your services, what kind of services you can render to them. That's all that they need. Okay. Next, you must not break any locally recognized code of advertising practices. Okay. What that means is that we have APCO, Advertisers Professional Council of Nigeria, or Advertising Professional Council of Nigeria. That is APCO. They have their own set rules also. So under no circumstance, after you have complied with ICANN Members Code of Conduct guidelines, right? you also need to conform with the AFCON guidelines in terms of what? Making advertisements. Okay. Then also, you don't offer discounts. Okay, you don't offer discounts. What does that mean? For instance, you are rendering 3 or 4 services to your client. You are carrying out external auditing services for them. You're also doing a tax analysis service. Not that for them to do outsourcing. They want to outsource, not that for because you are doing this with us, we are going to this one. You can pay a discount. You give it. You shouldn't give discount. You shouldn't offer discount to them. Okay. Then also, lastly, you must not make comparison with the fees of other service providers. I've explained that area. For instance, you already paid for tax and services charge 5 million. That this one charge 10 million. Our own is cheap. Our own is 5 million. That one they charge 10 for. You don't say that, okay? So sure. Like this set rules. All right. Now, what you also need to realize is this: once you're able to do that, that means you are being in what you do. You are trying to market yourself genuinely. So whoever wants to patronize you with what you have said, with what you offers that you have made, they definitely come to you. Right? Now, what you also need to realize is that they are making when they have already agreed to do the what you call their auditor for the controllers on their client.
Hello, sir. I think your network is breaking. Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
Father talks about concentration, just one agreement, right? By your business, yes,
Sorry,
offer
sir. We weren't able to hear you
what
since.
concentration. So how do you determine that you are going to charge? Okay, how do you determine that you are going to charge? If you go to the icon code of conduct, because they charge X amount of not safe. But there are indicators, okay? There are factors that you can use to determine how the fees, okay, how the fees was determined. So there are four what are four can compare that they are going to pay them. The reason are
Hello,
going to pay them.
sir. We can't
Somebody
hear
that is
you.
qualified out there. Somebody that find this year and not. Can somebody confirm that you can hear me? Try it because I'm
No,
seeing
sir.
messages that can hear
No,
me. Can you
sir.
hear me?
No, sir. We can't hear you. We weren't able to hear you for like
Can you
20,
hear me?
like, no, sir. It's not clear. It's not audible.
Stop this.
We're breaking and like the volume is low or something.
Because it's highest to have one of the highest. Can you hear me now? Is it better now?
It's
Yeah, I
better
think
now.
it's better
Better
now.
now. Okay, sorry. That just let me know. Sorry. It's the network, right? It's better now, right? Let's
Yes,
continue.
sir.
I'll take that
Move
again.
close to your mic. Move close to your mic. You are far.
Okay. So let me take that again, that part again. I was saying that as audit firms need to charge your clients their fees. You need to charge them fees. services you are going to render. So how does audit firm determine their audit fee? Now, one way that they use to determine, there are about different ways, but there are four main ways or four major ways we can determine their audit. Okay? And these are the things you need to do. Number one.
Please, sir, the volume is too low.
Huh?
Volume is low.
Sir, the volume is too low.
We can barely hear you.
We can barely hear anything you're saying. Maybe you should
This one is
go
this
off and come back in.
is that?
Sir, we can't hear anything
I'm not
you're
using.
saying.
Can you hear me
The-
now?
Yes, we can hear you now, but I think when you continue, it drops and something. It drops or something because, like,
It's the
before we
network.
could hear you. So I don't
Okay,
know.
when I said that, you could hear me very well.
We could hear you when you came back and asked us if we can hear you now, if it's better. But after that, when you continue, you couldn't hear well again. Now we can
What
hear
of
you
now?
because it's more audible. Yes, now it's more audible.
Okay, it's the network. All right. I was saying that for you to determine the audit fee, there are different factors you need to consider. Okay, and some of the factors you need to consider have been classified into four. Now, the first thing you need to consider is the seniority and professional expertise of the persons necessarily engaged in the work. What does that mean? What that infers is the fact that if you have an audit firm that has crop of vast experienced auditors that have over 20, 30, 40 years audit experience, you cannot compare the fees they're going to pay them with somebody that has audit firm that has people that just qualified last year, because you are paying for the wealth of experience. It's like when you secure an employment, they tell you that they want 5 years experience. When they say they want 5 years experience, what you are going to get as your remuneration at the end of the month cannot be comparable with somebody that is a fresh graduate. It's not the same. So it's your experience that will determine how much you are going to pay. And the same thing play out in audit firms when they want to determine the audit fees that they want to charge their client. Because at the end of the day, when they charge the clients, they are going to pay the auditors that are going to do the engagement, to carry out the engagement. So that is one. Number two, the time expended by each. Now, the more time you expend on an audit engagement, the more you are going to pay as audit fee. So that is why you always see that when the auditors come, they always tell you that let's do this thing on time, because they pay them per hour. They pay them per hour. Hours spent on the engagement. It's not like in your place of where they pay you at the end of the month. They pay them per hour for every engagement. There's a way they calculate their own salary. It's not the same thing as those of us that work in private organizations, okay? Their own, they pay them per hour. So based on the number of hours you have worked and number of engagement that you have been added to carry out or instructed to carry out, that's the way they calculate your pay at the end of the month. So the number of hours they spend on an engagement will be a determining factor. Number three, the degree and responsibility which the work entails. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that there are certain engagements that put the audit firm in the line of, let's say, a risk exposure. Let me put it that way. That is, there are some engagement that when the audit firm decide to take up, it could jeopardize their long-standing reputation that they have enjoyed over the years. Let me explain again. Now, take for instance, you have a client that has been in the black book, or has been, how do I put it now? Has been in the black book of regulators. Let's say bank, okay, or we have companies that have issues with tax authorities, and you are now being said that they are the last phase of, if they don't do anything, they will be. I'm coming. Let me try and make the environment more secure. Okay, as I was saying, there are instances where you put your license as an audit firm in line for the sake of your client. I'll set two examples. You have an instance where you have a company that has been blacklisted by the tax authorities or by the regulators in whichever sector we are talking about now. So if the audit firm now says that we'll take up the job regardless of the risk that it entails. So when they take up such job, they are at the risk of losing their license. And because of the risk, they will charge more than what they ought to have charged because they are also putting their license, their reputation, their goodwill on the line. And because of that, it could be a determining factor for the audit fee. Then the last one is the priority and importance of the work for the client together with any expenses properly incurred. What does that mean? Now, if a client comes to you and says that I want this audit engagement to be carried out. Can you hear me? Are
Yes,
we
sir.
together?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I was talking about the priority and importance of the work to the client together with any expenses properly incurred. I was saying that, let's say, for instance, a client approaches you and says that I want you to help me to carry out this audit engagement because there's a contract I'm trying to pursue at the federal level. And one of the requirements is that they needed my audited financial statements. But they want to obtain a loan from the bank, and the bank says that, yes, I will give you the loan, provided you have audited financial statement. So at such instances, it could be a timing factor for increasing or determining what the audit fee would be. It's like when you have a wedding. I'm trying to make it practical now. You have a wedding. A friend of yours is getting wedded. He has given you the Ashwebi for the past, let's say last year or early January. Okay? And the wedding is coming up this Saturday. That is tomorrow. All right? And you got to know, let's say like yesterday, because the person called you and said, I hope you've not forgotten that my wedding is on so and so date. And because of that, you now say, don't worry, I have not forgotten. And of course, you have forgotten because there are other things that occupied your mind. And quickly, you now took the clothes to a nearby fashion designing shop. And you told the person, please help me to already make this material, cut this material and and so style for me within the next 48 hours. The person obviously will not charge you the same price he will charge somebody that said that sew it at your own convenient time. Or you tell the person, come back so and so day, you get your material. But you are the one telling the person now that I want this thing as fast as possible. And because you are making such demand, the person will also charge you premium for the service because that means that it's going to forego every other material that is trying to sew for other people just to be able to satisfy your own request. And that is where the premium will come. So ordinarily, let's say you want to sell that thing for 20,000 naira because you said you want express service, we will charge you 50,000 naira. So it's the same thing that we are talking about here. So the time it depends on the urgency or the priority of the audit fee that will determine how much that will be charged, okay, for such a engagement. All right. I hope we are together. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we need to also know is that for every additional work that the auditor is asked to do is also, provided is not covered in the contractual agreement, that is letter of engagement, there will be need for such extra work to be justified, okay? And the money will be paid in addition to what has initially been agreed, okay? So that is what we need for that. All right, so we go on. Then we'll go to the next area, tendering. Now, what do we mean by tendering? Now, in organizations, right, big organizations, when they want to change their external auditors, they go to the process called tendering. So, tendering is a commercial process widely used by companies, okay, when they want to change their external auditors. All right. So, companies that are multinational or banks that are listed on the stock exchange, right? What they normally do when they want to change their auditor, they make it public. Just like you see banks now, they are trying to make people to buy their shares because of the recapitalization issue. That is how they also go to the national dailies and make advert and say that we want to change our auditor. There will be a call for tender. There will be a call for tender in the national dailies that are widely circulated, that we want to change our auditor. If you meet so and so demand and requirement, please feel free to what? To apply. So that process that is being used by big organizations when they want to change their external auditors is known as what? Tendering. I hope that is clear. Now, what you also need to note is that for the intending audit firms, okay, that want to show interest in the tender, okay, there are certain things they need to put into consideration because for such kind of activity, it takes time. Sometimes even take resources. So for you to be determined that you want to dissipate your energy and your resources to such activity, then you must first of all carry out this self-evaluation that is called initial consideration. Assess yourself first. Okay, be true to yourself, be truthful to yourself. What can you do? So after the call for tender has been published in the national dailies, then these are the things you need to ask yourself whether you should go ahead and submit your tender. So you need to ask yourself, does the firm have the expertise to carry out the audit? That is, looking at the caliber of your staff, audit staff, can you deliver on this engagement? So you are asking yourself, nobody is asking you now. You are the one asking yourself, and you have to be truthful to yourself. Okay? So your answer is very, very important. It will determine whether you're going to the next phase or not. Second question you need to ask yourself is this: does the firm have or could it have sufficient staff available at the appropriate time? Now, what does that mean? So you need to ask yourself, knowing fully well that audit firms, they have peak period and off-peak period. All right, they have peak period and they have off-peak period. So what does that imply? So if the new prospective client, right, falls in your peak period, that means that you might not have any staff that is free. You know what I'm saying? Because during peak period, auditors sometimes they sleep over at their client offices. Why? Because they want to meet their deliverables, the deadline they have set for their clients. So you see them, they work themselves out, day in, day out, day in, day out. But during off-peak period, that is when you see them, they go to work, they go in the morning, then let's say around 6 or 5, they have already left. They're already on their way home. But during that peak period, yes. Any question? Do you have any question? I can continue. So when there is off-peak period, then they can have ample time because most of their engagement then they already analyze them. So they have free time. So they need to consider, do they have available staff that can carry out that audit at such times? Okay. That's what we mean by that. Number 3, they need to also ask themselves, are there any ethical reasons why the firm could not act? For instance, if there is a problem with independence or a conflict of interest, what does that mean? So, for instance, you have a client, you have a prospective client that you have just approached, and you're about converting that prospective client to your own client, only for you to bring the discussion up at your firm, and behold, the managing partner is related to the prospective client. So what will that mean? That will lead to conflict of interest or problem with what independence, because what that means that there's a relationship between the prospective client and the managing partner, which is supposed not to be. So because of that, there could be reasons, it could be a reason why you should not take up the new tender. Number next, are there any problems of which the firm is aware with the current audit or auditors, specifically in relation to a tender? The firm should also ask itself. So what does that mean? So what that means is that if the auditors, because most times, there's what we call professional inquiry. They are trying to take over from an existing auditor or an outgoing audit firm. Okay, there's what we call professional inquiry. That is, you must obtain. It's a must. It's not should. You can see the word I'm using. I'm choosing my words carefully. You must obtain professional clearance, okay, from the outgoing auditor or audit firm. Failure to obtain that will lead to disciplinary action from the institute. All right. So you must ensure that you have a relationship to the fact that you can confide in the outgoing auditor and say that, please, what kind of client is this our prospective client? Because to the new audit firm is a prospective client, but for the outgoing one is already their client. So you need to ask, are there any risk involved? For instance, let's say they don't pay the audit fee on time, they delay in making payment. You need to tell they are good, but they don't pay on time. So if delay in payment of audit fee is an issue for your audit firm, you might not consider such tender. Or it could be that, those people, after you are done with the engagement, they will not pay you. Either they will take you to court that you are not competent. Okay? They will take you to court that you are not competent. So they are troublesome people. So if you have the outgoing audit firm confiding in you with this information, it could be a factor. Okay, they need to consider before you decide to go. All right. So the other thing you need to ask yourself is that why have you been asked to tender? So what that means is that what is the need for you when you tender? What do you stand to benefit? Okay, you need to ask yourself. For instance, let's say you have all the clients you have been dealing with. The highest that they have paid you as audit fee is 10 million naira. Okay, then you have this prospective client says that you look at it, said that you look at it and say that if you're able to get this thing, you'll pay us like 100 million naira as audit fee. Okay, so that could be a factor and say, let's try it. It's worth trying. Okay. Another question you need to ask yourself: could it or should it offer to do the audit for a lower fee than other firms are likely to quote? What that means is that you need to put yourself in the picture of other intending audit firm that want to submit their own tender. Okay, that is, are you sure that when you are quoting, you don't overshoot or you don't shoot yourself in the foot? What does that mean? So that you not blow your own opportunity away. So you must be able to evaluate what your competitor or your contending audit firm will quote, so that you don't give yourself away. All right. So that's what we mean by that. Then, are there any reasons why the audit is particularly attractive to the firm? For instance, or for example, will the work be carried out at a quiet time of the year, or is the company in industry area where the firm wish to develop its audit expertise and experience? So that could be another reason. So you need to ask yourself this. Okay? That is, why are you so interested in this engagement? Would it be an area where you have majorly been involved in agro-allied sector or banking sector? But this one is an oil and gas sector. And this is a competence they are trying to work to add to your profile as an audit firm. It could be a reason why you want to take up the engagement. Then what audit risks might arise with this particular client? So you need to be able to be proactive as in what are those likely uh, issues, audit risk that you might face with this new client. So once you're able to answer these questions objectively by yourself, then that means, and your answer to all these questions are affirmative, yes, 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 and yes, then you proceed to submitting your tender. All right, you proceed to do what? Submitting your tender. So when you proceed to submit your tender, you will need to ensure that you comply with all the requirements of the prospective client. Okay? All the requirements of the prospective client. So you need to follow through whatever they need to do. Some of the things you need to do is that you need to collect background information about the possible new client, the prospective new client. You need to obtain background information. What sector are they? What is their turnover? Okay? Do they have issues with regulators? All these and other issues, other information are what you are going to what? Obtain. Okay? Then you need to also carry out what we call a preliminary audit risk assessment. That will tell you, that will give you a lot of insight into what kind of this your new prospective client will be. You need to carry out what we call a preliminary audit risk assessment. That will give you insight. What does that mean? That means that you need to request for a permission to do like what we call it preliminary audit risk assessment, but it's not talk about the feasibility of that engagement. So you go into the nitty-gritty. On the surface, you're not going so deep. You are going just asking some salient questions, okay, that will make the engagement to be interesting, okay, for you to what? To submit your tender. All right. Now, when you are done with that also, you will need to, when you are about to submit, you also need to include what we call the brochure of the firm. What do you mean by a brochure? Now, brochure of the firm, of the audit firm, entails um a, a background into the audit firm. How long have they been in existence? Okay, where is their area of core competence? Who are the key partners or key partners or staff in the audit firm? Okay, what is their client base? All the people that you have clientele base, all the people that you have dealt with, you have carry out audit engagement or assurance engagement services for or on their behalf. You need to list all of these things. Okay, so all of these are what you are going to add together and include in your tender document. Okay, and of course, what you also need to include in your tender document is the fee. Okay, how you are going to calculate the fee. Okay, how you are going to calculate the fee. So in that document, you are going to look at how you calculated your fee. For instance, you need to understand that in every engagement, for some of us, like I forgot to say, some of us might not have the opportunity to work in audit firms, okay, in our lifetime, okay, and some of us are already working in audit firm. But I need to share this information with you, especially with the big four. When they go for any engagement, right? When they are trying to estimate the fee, I'm telling you, you can confirm from your, if you are close to the key staff in those audit firm, go and how does this region say that go and confirm, okay? You can confirm, verify, go and verify. So you go and verify. all the engagement, each engagement that they do, they embark on, there is a percentage that is charged to power, diesel, and light. There's a percentage that is shared to rent. Okay? There's a percentage that is shared to bonus. Okay? So if you look very well, go and check. Have you seen any audit firm that owns a building or a premises? Go and check. Ask yourself. The big four in Nigeria, none of them own the building that they are operating from. The KPMG, S& Young, PwC, all of them, right? They don't have any building of their own. All these buildings they use, even though they have their names on those buildings, they are on lease. Okay, they are on lease. So I need to tell you now, in case you don't know, that's some of the information that you need to benefit when you attend our classes, right? We share information that could be beneficial to you. We try to enlighten us. Okay, so at the end of the day, they collect all these fractions or these percentages at the end of the day, so that when it's time for them to pay rent, you don't struggle to pay rent because they have already set aside this money to pay rent, to pay for power, to buy diesel, for fuel, for any other thing. They have every engagement is part of, they have all these percentages embedded in their audit fee. Okay, so you need to know. Then also in that this submission document, it also include other services that they can render. Okay, maybe for instance, they said that they just need external auditor, but you now put in your submission document that we also render or carry out advisory, tax advisory services, recruitment, outsourcing, forensic accounting services, bookkeeping, accounting services, all of these things. You can include that. That when they are evaluating, they will not be evaluating based only on that engagement that they are trying to get. There could be other possibilities or other things in the pipeline they are trying to get. So when they see that the audit firm is like a powerhouse or a supermarket, if a financial market where a professional market where you have other services that you can carry out, right? It could be a leverage, could be an opportunity for the audit firm. All right. So these are the documents that you are expected to what? To submit. Once you are done with this, you are going to submit these tender documents. You seal it and submit to the address that is provided in the national dailies for submission. And you must ensure you submit before the deadline. All right? You must ensure you submit before the deadline. So after the submission, please mute your mic, Augusta. So after the submission and the deadline has closed or ended, all the tenders will be what? Will be retrieved and will be evaluated. All the tenders will be reviewed and be what? Evaluated. And when they are evaluating the tender, they are going to use these factors to evaluate the tender. Number one is the fees. That's the first thing they will need to look at. They will open all the tenders and say which one has the highest fee, which one has the lowest fee. They will evaluate based on that. Number two, they will look at the services that the firm is able to provide. Now, we wanted an external auditor. Can they also render advisory services? Can they do recruitment? Can they do outsourcing for us? All these services are what stands some audit firms out during the evaluation of the tender. Okay. Number three, they also look at the geographical location and coverage of the firm offices. And that's one thing, that's one advantage you get when you engage the Big Four. I'm not advertising for Big Four. I'm just trying to make a proper explanation and illustration so that you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, the Big Four, they are called Big Four. Why? Because number one, they are located in every country of the world. There's no country that you go to, you not see the Big Four. They are always there. Number two, right, is that even in every state, let's say in Nigeria, they have their offices. Okay? They have their offices. They can, if they don't have the offices, there is a way they can reach across to you. But from some of these small, medium audit firms, like let's say my own audit firm, Adeba Desalo and Co, Chartered Accountant and Co, right? I may only be located in Lagos. So if I have a client, a prospective client that has operations in Rivers State or in Edo State, and I don't have a branch in this state, then it becomes problematic for them to take me. They'll be looking out for those audit firms that have geographical location. Number three, they also evaluate based on the expertise of the firm and the staff. So that is the end of you submitting your brochure. That brochure, for instance, I know you know some of our prominent auditors, right? You know some of our prominent auditors. Okay. Now, when they see their names on the brochure, it will be a determining factor for taking such audit firms. All right, it will be a determining factor for taking such audit firms. So all those audit firms that are renowned, or they have partners that are renowned, and they see their names, they see their profile, and they see that, oh, this meets our expectation. It will be a determining factor when they are evaluating the tender. Number next, reputation of the firm. They look at how long has the firm been in existence, then have they had issues with their clients over the years? Have there been a point where the client sued them for professional negligence? Okay, has there been any issue with the media? Has there been any issue with the professional services? All of this will be considered. Okay, and also they also need to consider whether the senior management of the company think that it will be able to work well on a personal level with the potential engagement partner and key audit staff. So there are some audit firms, right, that the clients will also consider if they could work, they could relate on a personal level. What does that mean? What that means is that when they try to explain to them, okay, they are not vindictive. Okay, they don't behave as though they know everything. They are out to wish hunt. There's a way you carry out your work that at the end of the day, they know even if you are arguing or you're having issues, they will not take it up with you. They say that, oh, you are doing your work, or as against being antagonistic, saying that, oh, I want to detect fraud. So if you come up with that mindset or with that vibe that this is how you want to do it, it could be a reason, because at the end of the day, when they are doing this evaluation, the last thing they are going to do, aside from evaluating this tender, is for presentation. All the representative of the audit firm will come and make presentation, physical presentation. So from when they ask question and they say that you are vindictive, you don't like to answer questions, you are trying to be defensive, will be a factor to say, no, we cannot work with this person. Okay? Then the other thing you need to also evaluate is the extent to which the company wants to change its audit firm and its satisfaction with the current audit firm. Okay? So sometimes there could be something lacking in their current audit firms or the existing audit firm, which they want to try to correct by bringing a new audit firm on board. So it's like when you secure an employment, sometimes they will ask you, why do you want to leave your previous employment? You ask that question. So based on your answer, they can decipher to say, oh, okay, I think you are somebody that we can hire, can trust. And sometimes from your response, they could decide and say, no, you cannot entrust the finance or the wallet of this company with you. Okay? So those are the things that they do, okay, when they are evaluating the tender. Does anybody have any question? Is there any question? Any area that is not clear? And I hope am I audible now? Any question? This is an area that I can normally test. I hope you know is that it's a new area that they test because they know that most students don't like to read this area. This aspect of the syllabus, most students don't enjoy it because it's talking about practical. And even now, you have some auditors that are working and that are in public practice, right? That are in practice, that they don't even have an understanding of this thing. So the essence of this class is able to watch, to make it as elaborate and make it as enlightening as possible. So if you have any question, please feel free. Otherwise, we will need to proceed. Any question? Any comments? Any observation? Okay, I believe that we are all good, right? Okay, let's proceed. Then the next thing we need to look at is what we call low poly. Okay, low poly. What do you call it? What do I call it? Low poly. This is another terminology. Okay, this is the practice of tendering for the audit work at a very low fee with the objective of winning the audit. Okay, I take it again. It is the practice of tendering for the audit at a very low fee, with the objective of what? Winning. Yes, any question? Any question? Okay, please mute your mic, please. Okay, I'm with you. So, I say lowballing is the practice of tendering for the audit work at a very low fee with the objective of winning the audit. Now, let's cast our mind back. Let's go up and see what that means now. I'm going somewhere. Okay. Just a minute. Yes, I'm with
Hello,
you.
sir.
Please go
Your line
ahead.
was breaking. So your line was breaking. I don't know if it is from my own end. I didn't hear the
Where?
definition
When?
for the definition of the doubling also.
When was?
Just
You said
now,
what?
just now. When you're
Just now.
defining yes, yes. Can you come over
Lowballing,
with the
right?
definition? Yes,
I
yes.
said lowballing. Lowballing is the practice of tendering for the audit work at a very low fee with the objective of winning the audit. At a very low fee with the objective of winning the audit. Remember, if you cast your mind back when I was doing the explanation, there's an area where I said that there's a need for the audit firm, the prospective audit firm, to be able to envisage, to evaluate what other competitors want to charge. You still remember where I said it? That it should be able to conceptualize what the other competing audit firms, what they want to charge. There's a place I said it. I'm trying to see if it's there. I know I made mention of it. Okay. So what that means, I'm going somewhere. What I'm trying to explain is this. Now, you have 4 audit firms that are they submitted tender, okay, to a company to become the new external auditor. Now, let's say my company is one of them, my audit firm is one of them, Adebayo, Desalu, and Co. That accountant, I'm one of them. Then the remaining 3 are the big 4, S and Young, PwC, Deloitte, right? Those 3. And I'm the 4th one. Now, let's say I was able to conceptualize the kind of fee the big 4 we quote, the likes of S and Young, PwC, and Deloitte. Let's say for that engagement, you look at it and say that you will charge like 40 million naira for the engagement. And I'm coming in as a small, medium audit firm. I'm just located in Lagos. This one, they are located everywhere, every part of the world. But I'm only located in Lagos. And I now look at it and say, this is what they will charge. You probably charge 40 million naira. Let me charge 15 million naira. Lo and behold, if you remember when we look at this place, when they are evaluating the tender, what is the first thing that they are going to consider? The audit fee. You consider the audit fee, right? Look at it here. Now, when they consider the audit fee, now say, oh, this one wants to charge 15 million, others are charging 40 million. Why are they so like this? In this harsh economy, they are charging 40 million. What do you have to offer? They are the big for so what? Can't the other people do it? They're having that discussion in the when they are evaluating the tender. And lo and behold, somebody now said that when I now came for my presentation, I was able to convince them beyond every reasonable doubt. And I said, okay, let's give this guy a trial. Since his own is cheaper than the other competing audit firm, they now gave me that that engagement. So they said they are going to pay me 15 million. And after I've done the work, or while I'm doing the work, there is that assurance that I'm going to deliver on that job. Okay? Now, or even let's say I've even delivered. I say I'll do the work within 3 months. I was able to do it within 2 months, and they were impressed. And I said that, okay, when you're evaluating your tender, we saw that you say you cannot also render other services for us. Now we have an issue with our tax authorities, and would like to engage you as our tax auditor. So what is your fee? Now guess what? I now look at it and say, okay, my fee. Okay, that other one is 15 million, right? This one I'm going to charge you 60 million naira. You hear what I said now? I'm going to charge you what? 60 million naira against 15 million. And you know that, how come now? You charge that one was 15 million naira. This one is different. This one is a special engagement. Okay, so I'll charge you 60 million naira. Okay, what is your best price? I'll charge you 50 million naira. That's the last price say you collect. Now, what has that done to you? So that difference that you lost before earlier for the external audit job, you have recouped it in your tax advisory services. The whole essence of you reducing the audit fee that time is able to what? To defeat or to win, okay, the audit over your other competing audit firm, that 15 million. Remember that they are charging 40 million, you are charging 15 million. Okay, now when you now come for another engagement, now you say you are charging what? 50 million naira. That means that automatically you'll have recouped what they thought that they had saved during the bidding for or tender for the external auditing. You have already recouped your own what? Your loss. That's what they mean by low balling. So low balling is not something that is bad. All audit firms do it. The big four, they are even masters at it. All of them, they do it. Okay, so and it has not been proven that when you apply, when you indulge in low balling, it's going to lead to low quality audit job. It has not been proven, okay, that is going to lead to that. All right, so that is what we mean by low balling. All right, I hope we are together. Okay, now
Yes,
let's look at
sir.
another area. Thank you very much. Let's look at another area. It's what we call precondition. I'm here now. Precondition, or I put it this way, agreeing the terms of the audit engagement. Okay, agreeing the terms of the audit engagement. Okay, what does that mean? Now, what that means is this: before you sign the letter of engagement, remember, letter of engagement is the document that confers legality on your assurance engagement. I take it again. Letter of engagement is a document that confers legality on your engagement. That is, it makes your engagement reward to be formalized, to become legal. Because like I said, I explained earlier, audit engagement or assurance engagement or any engagement at all is a contractual engagement. Okay? So that is what makes so if you go to audit any clients now, and you don't have
letter of engagement, you are not, even if you have gone to do the engagement, all what you have done would have been what? An exercise in what? In futility, a wasted effort of no effect, null and void of no effect. So, what we are saying is this: before you sign the letter of engagement, there are certain things you need to do. You can see they call it precondition. Precondition. You know, there are conditions for a valid contract. You have in your business law, you have offer, you have acceptance, you have consideration, you have capacity to enter into legal contract, then you have privity to the contract. I hope you still remember your business law. Okay. Now, what we are saying here is this: before you go ahead and sign the contractual agreement, which is your letter of engagement, there are certain things you need to agree with the client so that it doesn't become what? An issue. So that it does what? It does not become what? An issue. Okay? So let me paint another scenario for you. Now, if you want to, okay, let me paint something scenario for you so that you can understand. If you want to, let's say you are a celebrity now, or you're a social media Instagram influencer, and a company, let's say, I'm trying to look for a company now. Let's say Chivita has approached you to become their brand ambassador. What does that mean? That means that in all their shows, whether they're having shows or they're having trade fair, you always be there. Now, before you sign the agreement with them, there are certain things they will have discussed with you. For instance, they'll tell you that anytime you want to celebrate party, you must use their product. Okay? Under no circumstance should you advertise another company's product. They also tell you that, oh, because you're using our product, this is the way you should be dressing. This is the way you should dress. You have all those kind of conditions being attached to you. That. Okay? Now, if that one is not clear, let me use football. Now, look at Ronaldo. All of us know Ronaldo, see Ronaldo. Now, see Ronaldo, when he moved to Saudi Arabia, there are certain laws that you need to what? Be waived just before he could be signed on to the Saudi Arabia club that he is now. For instance, in Saudi Arabia, once you are not married, you cannot, it will be illegal for you to cohabitate or to cohabit with a lady that you're not married to. It's against their law. It's haram there, it's a sin. Okay? So this is what they discussed with him. And they asked him. And he said that, you know, this is your country, and I don't want to by it will become an issue. My wife, I mean my partner, we are not yet married, we are cohabiting together, we have this and this. Please, if you want me to come, you have to waive this for me. And it was waived. And that was one of the conditions that made him to move to Saudi Arabia with his partner. So it seems that we are saying here. I'm just trying to bring it down because we are talking about audit. Audit is not abstract, it's what you can relate to, it's what you can see. It's everyday thing. It's not something that is abstract. It's living with us. One of the courses or paper that is a living paper. Okay, you can always relate with it. So I'm giving us instances, right? Or you are signed on to a clothing line, and they tell you that you must not add weight because the shape of the way they sew the material is in a way, is in one particular shape. And if you add weight, it's not going to befit the model. So it cannot be a model. So all of this, I'm just trying to use it to explain what they mean by preconditions. So before the auditor sign up, so what you normally see is that when Ronaldo came out and signed up the contract with that club in Saudi Arabia, all these conditions I just explained to you now, you will not see it. Is the day he's going to sign the dotted line that, oh, We are now you are now one of our, you are now paying for our club. That's why they will now call it paparazzi, and you take picture, and they will marry and jollificate. Okay, so it's the same that we are saying here. So for auditors, before you sign the there are certain things you need to share with your clients. I think that I lost you people at some point. I think it's the network. So I'm back.
Yes, the network has
So I was saying that
been.
there are certain things you need to put into consideration. Okay. So what are those things? Number one, you need to ensure that you have a firm agreement with your client. For instance, they should prepare their financial statement using the uh, acceptable financial reporting standard, which is IFRS. Okay, in Nigeria now, you cannot prepare your financial statement using US GAAP. You use IFRS. That is what we have adopted. It's our financial reporting framework in Nigeria. Okay. Number two, you must also agree with the uh, with the client that they will be responsible for the preparation of the financial statement. Okay, that is responsible for the what preparation of financial statement. You know what is available in some companies in Nigeria is that the audit firm will prepare financial statement, the audit firm will still audit the financial statement. What we are saying here is that ICANN does not want to hear that. Okay, what ICANN wants to hear is that there is the directors and the management, they are not responsible for the preparation of financial statements, while the uh, auditors will examine or evaluate the financials, whether it shows a true and fair view or not. And also, we need to also agree that it is the responsibility of the management, okay, to prevent and what detect fraud, and also ensure that the internal control is effective. Okay, so these are the conditions that you need to what agree with your client. Okay, then also management must attest to this, must sign it up and say that yes, we agree to these responsibilities. That's what you have here. Obtain the agreement of management, and it acknowledges and understands its responsibility. They must sign it that yes, we'll do all of these things. Other circumstances we did go back or relinge on this their initial agreement. That's what we mean by agree the terms of that engagement. Okay. So once that has been done, then the auditor can then sign the what? The audit engagement letter. Okay. Once that has been done, the audit engagement letter can be signed. Okay. So that is what we mean by that. All right. I hope that is clear. So all what you have here, that's what they are trying to say. You can see that I'm not reading the verbatim. You have it here. I'm just summarize it and try to explain what we mean by that. So when you are done with that, you now go to the content of the engagement letter. What do you have in the engagement letter? There are so many things you have in the engagement letter. You are going to limit it to just 5. The 5 that are listed here, they are not exhaustive. They are more than that. All right. Number one, the engagement letter, we have the objective and scope of the audit. What does the audit want to achieve? And what is the scope of the audit? It will always contain that. Number two, it will contain the responsibilities of the auditor. What are their do's and don'ts? It will contain the responsibilities of management. What are they supposed to do? So all the management are supposed to do is that they are supposed to prepare financial statement. They must ensure that financial statement comply with applicable financial regulatory framework. They are to put in place sound internal control system. They are to prevent and detect fraud. Okay, it's not the responsibility of the auditor. The auditor's responsibility is to ensure that the financial statements are prepared in line with applicable financial regulatory framework. Number next, the content, identification of the underlying financial reporting framework. What does that mean? That is, for every financial statement, they're always either complying with IFRS or whichever financial reporting framework that is applicable in that country. If the company is in US now, obviously US GAAP will be the applicable one. Number 5, reference to the expected form and content of any report to be issued. So at the end of the day, you are going to express what are the information that are going to that will be contained in your what in your audit report. But at the end of the day, you are going to issue audit report. And that audit report, you are going to state your observations. You are going to state your opinion. Okay, you are going to talk about your opinion. You are going to express your opinion about the financial statements that you have examined. So these are what you have as a content, part of content of the audit engagement letter. I hope that is clear. Okay, then we have other areas, unpaid fees. What does that mean? What that means is that when a new audit firm is trying to take over from an outgoing audit firm, you must ensure that they settle the outgoing audit firm before accepting that engagement. For instance, audit firm A has been the audit firm has been auditing company B, and audit firm C is coming on board. And audit firm A has not been paid by company C. Okay, now before audit firm C takes over or B takes over from audit firm A, you must ensure that company C pays the audit firm A before accepting the other one we know. Okay, another thing you also need to understand is that under confidentiality, what that means is that every information furnished by the outgoing auditor or that is obtainable in the course of the engagement by the prospective auditor, okay, it should not use it. It should be discreet with the information. Okay, it should be discreet with what? With the information. That is, you must not share the information carelessly or recklessly. Okay, among the audit, among the employee of the client. You must not say, your company, so you make 10 million naira every month, and so you make 20 million naira every month. So this is what you do. You pay your staff this amount, you do all of this. It should be discreet. You must be able to manage information. That will mean by confidentiality. Okay? Then also, you look at defamation. What does defamation mean? Okay, what that means is that whatever information that the outgoing audit firm shares or chooses to share with the incoming audit firm, it must ensure that it does not damage the reputation of the client or the individuals in the client. For instance, now let's say audit firm Adebayo is leaving, is the outgoing auditor. Then we have audit firm XYZ that is coming on board. Now, I should not say things that will tarnish the image of my client. Okay, because I want cheap popularity with the new audit firm. I should not say things that could be defamatory. What do you mean by defamation? Things that will project the client in a bad light. I must not do that. Okay? But what we are saying is that unless you are sure that whatever information you are sharing is the truth, then you can go ahead. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if it gets to the point where the client gets to sue the outgoing audit firm, what the court will rule on, what the court will decide are number one, that information that was shared, was it shared? Was the information that was shared, was it the truth? Was it the truth that was shared? Okay. Number two, does it make reckless imputation against the client or individual connected with it, which can have no reason for believing to be true? What that means that, are you saying things that you just want to see it just to tarnish the image of the client, just to gain popularity or acceptance of the new audit firm? So what we are saying here is that defamation is that anything you are going to say to the prospective, but like I said, I talk about professional clearance. This is part of professional clearance. So you are making professional inquiry about your client. from the outgoing auditor as a prospective audit firm auditor. So you must ensure that whatever information that's given to you is given to you in good faith. That's the summary of that. The information is shared with you in what? In good faith. Also, there are instances where we have joint auditor. What do you mean by joint auditing? Joint auditing is a kind of audit engagement where more than one audit firm is engaged. I think again, joint auditing is a type of audit engagement where more than one audit firm is engaged. So you have a company now, you have a bank, and you have 3 or 4 audit firms that are carrying out the audit engagement of that bank. That is joint auditing. So all of them, they are severally liable. They are jointly and severally liable. What does that mean? That is, if there is issue with personal negligence later on in future, all the audit firms that partook in that engagement will be charged for that professional negligence, not one, all of them, because they are jointly and severally liable. All right. What we are saying here is this. Let's say last year, the bank used 3 or 4 audit firms as joint auditors for the audit of last year financial statement. Now, this year, decided to just make use of one. What we are saying here is that if they are making use of one, that one that survived, the surviving audit firm, should communicate to the other audit firm that, sorry, the client has relieved you people of your audit engagement. I'm the one that they have referred and they have chosen me to continue with the engagement. You must communicate that to them. Okay? You must communicate that to them formally. Okay? Then also, there's also what we call vacancy. What do we mean by vacancy? Now, what we are saying here is this. If a firm accepts to be the audit firm of a client, right? What that means is that, let's say, for instance, peradventure, the new client, the audit partner or the managing partner dies or becomes incapacitated. What we are saying here is that the auditor should endeavor to obtain such information as may need for the audit. Later, there's a need to obtain letter of administration. What do you mean by letter of administration? Now, when someone dies, which is legal, when somebody dies and they want to share the property, what they need to obtain is letter of administration. Okay, so if they want to, if an audit firm, the owner or the managing partner suddenly becomes incapacitated or dies, right? Before they can continue, they must obtain a letter of administration. Okay? They must obtain a letter of administration that states specifically who will take over from the deceased or from the deformed or disabled or physically challenged managing partner. That's what we mean by vacancy. Okay, you cannot just say, okay, the person died. Oh yeah, you go and do the work. No, you must ensure you follow legal process. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now, there's what we call transfer of books
You say that again.
and paper. Transfer of books and paper. What does it mean? When a new audit firm takes over from the outgoing audit firm, you must ensure that all the working paper, what are audit working paper? These are the documentation that relates or that concerns that particular client, which the outgoing auditor has. So copies of this working paper must be shared with the new audit firm so that it will make it easier for them to be able to acclimatize or be able to understand how the audit should be carried out. That's what we mean by transfer of books. And that's what we talk about professional inquiry. I also talk about professional clearance. If there is no professional clearance, this will not be possible. So there must be what? Professional inquiry that will facilitate, okay, the release or transfer of the audit working paper from the outgoing audit firm, okay, to the new audit firm. And the law also says that under no circumstance should any audit firm withhold or seizes any client's paper or any client's document because of what? Unpaid fees. So for instance, my auditor has not paid me. The auditor say that I will not release your financial statement. The financial statement does not belong to you. You just use the financial statement. So you must release it. Don't hold on to that financial statement because my audit fee has not been fully paid. That's what we mean by transfer of books and paper. I hope we are getting it. If there's any question, please feel free to stop me or I will be glad to explain further. All right. There's what we call additional work. There's another area we call
You know,
additional work. Yes, I'm with you.
yeah,
Oluwaseun, I'm with you.
can you take that disease explanation again?
This explanation. Okay, this is it. Audit firm is a partnership business, right? And in partnership business, one of the merits or disadvantages of partnership business is what? The death of the owner could affect the continuity of that business, right? What I'm saying is this: before the audit firm can continue to exist, they must obtain letter of administration from the estate of the deceased partner. Let's say Mr. A is the managing partner of audit firm A and Co. And his managing partner A dies suddenly. Now, you have other partners there, right? They are supposed to take over. Now, what we are saying is this: possibly, managing partner A that died had written his will and says that should he dies, Mr. B should take charge. So Mr. B will obtain a letter of administration to take charge and continue the audit firm. I hope it's clear, Mr. Oluwaseun.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so that's that. So another thing, additional work. What do you mean by additional work? Now, there are instances where you have already started your audit engagement or your assurance engagement. You're already working on it. All of a sudden, the manager just called your attention and said that, oh, we need to increase the scope or we need to expand the scope of the engagement to accommodate certain areas, right? Now, if those areas are important and they have asked you to add it to your engagement, or perhaps they've given those areas to another practitioner to handle. Okay, whether they give it to another practitioner to handle or they give it to you to handle, a separate document, a separate fee will be paid for such additional work. And when they give it out to a new or a different practitioner, the new practitioner must inform you that, oh, I've been saddled with this responsibility, especially if what they've given to the new practitioner relates to what you are working on. So there must be that cross-fertilization or sharing of ideas or notification that, oh, yes, I've been given that work. Please, what are the things I need to do? Or maybe perhaps there are some document I need to work on, which I've already determined. Then I'll need to share with the person or with that practitioner. Okay? I hope we are getting it, please. Any question? Any question? Are we good? Okay. Let's continue. If you have any question, please feel free to stop me. Okay. You can ask your question. There are no questions, I continue. So we go to the next area. Appointment of an auditor. Now, this is one area that you also need to know very well. Now, how do you go about answering questions in examination? Now, perhaps you have a question that asks you, how do you appoint an auditor? Okay, how do you appoint external auditor in a company? Now, if you look at what I have here, what you can see, you have section 401, subsection 1 of CAMA 2020 as amended. Now, in exam, because of the phobia and the environment, you might not be able to remember these sections and subsections. But this is the way out. Okay, this is an alternative way to go about it. If you cannot remember this section, just say according to CAMA. Okay, to appoint an auditor, these are the things you need to put in place. Now, that is better than for you to go and cite the wrong section of CAMA and use that to explain the appointment of auditor. If you do that, you'll be penalized. Okay? You are expected to know the sections of the law. Yes, you are expected to know the sections of the law. There is no gainsaying and there's no shortcut. However, if you can't remember, okay, if you can't remember, what I said is that you should be able to just put your words together and say that according to CAMA 2020, okay, or according to Companies Law 2020, Companies and Other Matters Act 2020 as amended, just state it. You can paraphrase, okay? You can use paraphrasing. Now, what you have done is that you have not cited the wrong section. You just said that according to CAMA. So they will understand that, yes, you are talking about CAMA. But if you go and cite the wrong section, you will be putting yourself in a lot of issues. And those are some of the small issues where you have situations where there are issues with the score at the end of the day. Okay, please, let's take cue from this. So, to appoint an auditor, two people can appoint an auditor. Two people, only two people, two sets of people. Okay, number one, for a company that is a new company, and they want to appoint their first auditor, external auditor. I'm not talking about internal auditor now, external auditor. There are two people that can do that. First one, when they are appointing a new external auditor, the first one for the company, that's usually appointed by the directors. I take it again. For a new company, right? The directors usually appoint the first set of auditor, and that will hold office from the first annual general meeting to the next annual general meeting, because it's what is the first external auditor. Okay. Another thing you also need to note is that these directors also, they can fill in casual vacancy. Now, before I get to that filling of casual vacancy, let me explain why the directors will be the first person to appoint the first set of auditors. Let me tell you the reason why. There is a section of CAMA that says that failure of the directors to appoint the set of the new auditor, they'll be liable to a daily fine. Okay? They'll be liable to what? A daily fine. That's a penalty for not complying. And because they know that it doesn't augur well, it will not be a good stance for them to be sanctioned or penalized for what they can easily avoid. They will quickly appoint the first set of auditor. Okay, that is the essence. That is the reason. Another thing you also need to note is that when there are casual vacancy, what do you mean by casual vacancy? Let's say the appointed auditor suddenly dies or becomes incapacitated. Right? The directors also can fill in the casual vacancy on behalf of, they cannot say because the auditor is dead, that is the end, we do the auditor again. No, they have to get a stopgap that will occupy that position. Okay, it is the duty of the director. Now, I was talking about the appointment of auditor. So every other appointment, aside from these two that I've explained now, are usually done by the shareholders. All these ones, all those outside the first two I explained, the issue of first auditor, first auditor, and the casual vacancy, anything outside that are usually done by the what? By the shareholders. I hope you are getting it. Okay. And also, we also need to understand that the external auditor is deemed reappointed without any resolution being passed. That is automatically when the AGM, annual general meeting, ends, the next one, the external auditor is automatically reappointed. But there are instances where that will not occur. What are those instances? Where he is not qualified for reappointment. It is here. I'm here now. Where he is not qualified for what? Reappointment. For instance, maybe he has done something, maybe he has partaken in one fraud or the other, or he has connived with one person or the other. They could not. Number two, where a resolution has been passed appointing as auditors a person other than the retiring auditor. So if they have been another resolution, what do you mean by resolution? They have passed another information, okay, that overrides the initial agreement. That no, it's no longer auditor. We have appointed a new set of auditors. Number three, where he has indicated his willingness to continue in office in writing, that he said that okay, I want to continue. Okay. Number next, auditors and other chartered accountants wherever possible. So these are the instances you need to note, right? So I hope you've gotten that. Right. Now I will go to the next one. Duties and powers of the auditor. Now, the auditors have powers, and they have when they talk about powers of auditor, they're talking about what? The rights of the auditor. When they say that you have power, you're talking about your what? Your right. Okay. When you talk about duties, you're talking about what you should do. All right. Now, let's look at it. Now, when you're talking about duties of an auditor, please.
Sorry, Mr. Adebayo, just to confirm, the last one that I just
Yes.
talked about now is
Yes.
concerning like it's for retiring auditor, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
cases where they can be reappointed, except is that what you're saying?
Except yes. That's it, sir.
Yeah, please, this one here, like the last two, he has indicated
Sure.
his willingness to continue in the office.
Yeah.
What do you mean
Okay.
by
So without any resolution being passed, unless he has indicated, all this one means is that let's say now that he said that I want to continue in office. You understand? It's normally, like I said, is supposed to his appointment is supposed to be what? Automatic every year. But in this instance now, he didn't say that. He just indicated that, oh, I still want to continue in office. So what that means is that I think there's a typo there. It's not what's supposed to be there is that he has indicated his willingness not to continue in office in writing. There's not there, please. You
okay,
understand?
okay.
There's not. He has not indicated his willingness to continue in office. Please, just note that. Sorry, it's a typo from my end. Sorry about that. He has not indicated his willingness to continue in office. I hope that is clear now.
Yes,
All
please.
right.
Also, please,
Okay.
this
So,
auditor and chartered accountant, well, please, can you
yes.
explain?
Now, what that means is that auditors and other chartered accountants wherever possible. What that means is that if he has indicated his interest not to continue in office, are you with me? If he has indicated his interest that he not want to continue in office, then what that means is that they need to try and solicit or source for other auditors and chartered accountants outside him or outside the audit firm. That's what it means. That means that you are not using the existing auditor. You are getting fresh set of auditors that will continue as external auditors for the company. I hope that is clear now, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So I was talking about, thank you. I'm talking about duties and powers of the auditor. Now, in exam, when you see powers of auditor, it's the same thing as rights of the auditor. So you are familiar with powers of the auditor. But in exam, I say that what are the rights of the auditor? It's the same thing. When you talk about duties of the auditor, now this is what you need to know. Now, duties of auditors, and please pay particular attention to this. Duties of auditors, they are divided into two. And this could be a reason why some students fail audit or they score low in audit. There are two main reasons. There are two main reasons or duties of auditors. There are two main duties. What are the two main duties? Number one, the auditor must ensure that financial statements are prepared in line with applicable financial regulatory framework. That's number one. Please note it. That financial statement has been prepared in line with applicable financial regulatory framework. That is number one. Number two, the auditor also needs to confirm that proper books of accounts has been kept. That they have done what? They have kept proper books of accounts. Once you have mentioned these two, any other duty can come. But if you have not mentioned these two, and you make mention of other duties, you will be subcharged. You will be penalized. You will not get your full mark. You're supposed to get 20, you're supposed to get 15, you're supposed to get 10. You might get 5, or you might get 4, or you might get even 3. Because we have what we call primary duties and we have secondary duties. So the primary duties of external auditor, number one, is to ensure that the financial statements are prepared in line with applicable financial regulatory framework. The number two, that proper books of accounts have been kept. Once you have mentioned this, any other thing can come in as number three to the last as duties of the external auditor. So once you have mentioned those two, we now talk of secondary duties, which entail making a report to the company and its shareholder. So when they ask what are the duties of the auditor, that's number one, to prepare a report for the company and the shareholder. If you put that one as number one, you are missing it. Because they expect you to start with the most important. That is not the most important, okay? Please note that. And also, you can also say that duty of the auditor is to qualify his report where necessary. So don't go and say that the first thing, the auditor will qualify his report. That should not be your first duty. Okay? So that is what you need to know. All right? Then you can also now put here that the auditor, another duty of the auditor is that the auditor has obtained reports from branches not visited by him. Okay, that's another duty. You must ensure that you obtain reports of branches not visited by him, because for a bank that has over 350 branches, you do expect the auditor to visit all the 350 branches all over the world. Okay, from those branches that you could not visit, you need to obtain a report from them so that you'll be able to include that when he's making his opinion about the financial statement of the organization. I hope that is clear. Now, when you talk about the powers of the auditor or right of the auditors, let me make mention of number one. He has the right of access at all times to the company's books, record, and vouchers. What that means is that as auditors, you have the right to all the company's books, records, and vouchers. Number two, he has the right to information and explanation considered necessary for the audit of the company's officials. He has the right to information and explanation considered necessary for the audit from the company's officials. What does that mean? Now, when you prepare financial statements like you have in your IAS 8, talking about accounting estimate and the likes. Now, if you take a financial statement without the additional information or where there are estimates, accounting estimates, where you don't have information about the accounting estimate, it might be very difficult for you to comprehend the financial statement that is presented to you. So every information necessary for the auditor to understand financial statement must be provided. Okay? The auditor also other rights. Let me tell you other rights so that you can also understand. He has the right to requisition a meeting. What does that mean? So let's say that the auditor has been removed. The auditor has been found wanting and said that, oh, we don't want you as auditors again. He has the right to convey a meeting to explain himself. Okay? Or where he has, or another instance where he has issues with the client. For instance, let's say he has some information from the client and the client is not forthcoming with that information. As auditors, he has that right, okay, to convey a meeting and expose the atrocities that have been performed or perpetrated by the client, or denial or frustration that has been extended to him in the course of his audit engagement. He can convey that meeting. Then he has the right to receive notices of annual general meeting. When they're having annual general meeting, he has the right, okay, to receive notices of meeting, just like the shareholders. Okay? These are some of the rights or powers of the auditor. Yes, somebody is asking a question here. Meeting with who? Meeting with the what am I trying to say now? Now, in audit, companies that are organizations that are big, that are well structured, that are multinational, they have audit committee. So let's say at the end of the day, the auditor is about to finish his work, but there is certain information he requested from the client and he did not furnish him those information. So he can write a meeting. Okay, he can summon a meeting that yes, I would have been done with this work, but this information was not provided. And these are the people that are making my work to be difficult. He can do that. What I'm trying to say. I hope it's clear. Now, remuneration. Who remunerates the auditor? Whoever, also you need to be careful here. Whoever appoints the auditor remunerates, determine or fixes his remuneration. When the directors appoint the auditor, they are the ones that will determine his remuneration. Where the shareholders are the ones that ratify the appointment, they will be the ones to determine his remuneration. However, I need to put that in place. However, the shareholders, they are not in tune with the current trend of the economy of the business environment. So most times they rely on the discretion or they rely on the information provided by the board of directors because those ones are on ground. They know what is happening to determine or be able to fix the auditor's remuneration. I hope that is clear. Now, we go to the next one. Removal of an auditor. Removal of an auditor. Now, what do you mean by removal of an auditor? When somebody is removed, what does that mean? That is the person has not finished his tenure. Okay? The person has not what? Finished his tenure. Now, could be for any reason, okay? But they didn't allow him to finish his tenure. So, when they want to remove an auditor, there must be a meeting. Okay? There must be an extraordinary there must be an extraordinary annual meeting where two-third majority will vote that this auditor is no longer competent. I take it again. When they want to remove an auditor, they must convey an extraordinary general meeting where a vote will be casted by the shareholders. And two-third majority must attest or confirm that they don't want this auditor to continue. And that would mean by what? Ordinary resolution. Okay? And once that has been done, within 14 days, they must submit to the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, that they have what? They have removed the auditor. Okay? Failure to do this by the company, they'll be liable to what? A fine that will be determined by the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission. I hope you are getting it. So I'm not this you should not remove, but once you have removed them or you remove the auditor, you must ensure you do that by what? Another resolution. That's two-third majority. And aside from that, you must submit the notification, okay, at the Corporate Affairs Commission. Yes, it's simple majority, yes. But don't call it simple majority in auditor, please. So simple majority is in government. There are certain technologies you need to familiarize yourself with, please. Yeah, Mr. Ibrahim. There's
All
also like
right.
simple majority.
Okay, okay.
So don't speak like government when you're writing auditor. These are some small areas that make the examiner to penalize us. Please, I understand what you are trying to say. It's the same thing as simple majority, but don't use that's why you say I didn't use the word. It's ordinary resolution. Okay, thank you. I hope you are getting it. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, that is for we're talking about removal of an auditor. Now, there's what we call resignation of an auditor. You know, we have removal. I said removal is what? When auditor is not allowed or is prevented to complete his tenure as auditor. That's removal. And that can be done by what? Ordinary resolution, to third majority, right? Now, however, in resignation of an auditor is different. Resignation is what? At the auditor's volition. Okay? Resignation is what? At the auditor's volition. That's at his own discretion. That's what it means. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Now, what are the reasons that can make the auditor to want to resign his appointment? Number one, if he has lost confidence or integrity of the management. What does that mean? So let's say he has asked for ABC for management concerning the financial statement and the information that has been furnished, right? The information that has been furnished, they are inconsistent or there are inconsistencies in the information furnished. So he could resign his appointment. Number two, if there is if there is communication breakdown between the auditor and the client management, it will lead to resignation of the auditor. Number three, reason for resignation. If the auditor sees that the management, they are making the audits to be very difficult and challenging, it could be a reason for resignation. The number four, if his tenure has lapsed and he said that I do not want to continue, I want to resign my appointment. These are the reasons for resignation. Now, when there is this resignation, the auditor must ensure that that resignation should be or must be with statements of circumstance or not. That is, the resignation of the auditor must include a document or a statement known as what? Statement of circumstance. What do you mean by statement of circumstance? That is, the auditor must explain the reason why he's resigning from his appointment. And when he does not have, he should say that I don't have any reason. I just want to resign. That's what I mean by the resignation must be accompanied by what? A statement of what? Circumstance or not. Okay? A statement of circumstance or not. Hope we are getting it. So that was the difference between resignation of an auditor and removal of an auditor. Is this document that I talked about. That removal does not have a statement of circumstance. But in resignation, you must make reference to what? A statement of circumstance. I hope we are together. I've talked about requisition of a meeting. Yes, somebody is asking a question here. On what basis is the audit tenure set? Like I said, the auditor is deemed to be reappointed at every annual general meeting. So it's year on year in. I mean, year in, year out. All right, that is the basis. However, for companies that are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, right? The external auditor can have a tenure of 10 years. That you can continue to be the external auditor of a listed company for 10 years. After 10 years, the auditor must advise the client to change the auditor. For private company, there is no tenure. I've worked in a company before where the external auditor has been the one auditing the company for the past 20-something years or 30-something years. Once it's a private company. But for a listed company, it is 10 years. I hope I'll be able to answer your question, Mr. Oluwaseun.
Yes, please. But now I have another question. What if
Yes.
they were not changed after 10 years? Would they be
No,
penalized?
now the truth is that we are looking at the side of the law. The law expects that it should advise. But if they are not changed, right, then that means that whenever it is detected by the regulators, it's going to be a charge or a penalty on both the auditor and the company eventually for listed company. But they always ensure that that is maintained. They always do it. Because another thing, one way that this is checked is this. Now, the institute, that is ICANN, right? They have a committee that goes around checking all the audit firms that are in operation in Nigeria. Since they have the list of all the audit firms in Nigeria, you go to ICANN website, you see the list of all accredited audit firms in Nigeria. So they go around to check them. They check their books. They check their records. And this committee that does this is known as the EPMC, Professional Practice Monitoring Committee, EPMC. They're the one that go around to check. So if they stumble on such information, that means the audit firm is in trouble with ICANN. So they will not want to do that. And like I said, for listed company, it's 10 years. But for private company, there is no tenure. I hope I'm able to answer your question, Mr. Shiu.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So any other question? Any other question? Any comments? Any observation? So one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about resignation of the auditor is this. Once the auditor has submitted his letter of resignation and a statement of circumstance, right? There could be instances where they want to requisition a meeting explaining why he's resigning his appointment. That's what you have here now. Explaining why he wants to resign from the audit appointment. Now, if he has issues, like I said, if he has lost confidence in integrity of the management, if there's a disagreement, if they are making his work to be difficult, they will requisition a meeting. And all the people that are making the work difficult, they will come down, they will be summoned, and they will be able to trash it. But if they are unable to resolve that matter, the auditor will proceed to submit his letter of resignation and the statement of circumstance at the client registered office. At the client registered office. Within what? Within 14 days. At the client registered office. I think you can see where I'm highlighting. At the client registered office within what? 14 days. Why is he doing this? In case of future, let's say 6 months after, there's an issue. That's that is the auditor. The auditor was still there 6 months ago. He would have shown his document that I have already resigned. But if there's nothing like that and there's an issue like that, I say I was still there and perhaps he has left and he did not submit, the penalty is coming on both the audit firm and the client company. Okay, I hope that is clear. I hope we are together.
Yes, please. So,
Okay,
I have a question concerning
please go ahead.
the last one you just mentioned, right?
Go ahead, please. I'm listening.
Resignation, So,
Yes.
how do they react to unpaid remuneration or unused remuneration when,
How did they do it?
like for unpaid remuneration
Yes.
on remuneration, how do
Uh,
they figure that out when
unpaid,
an auditor resigns? Or yeah.
how did they? Remember when I started, I talked about professional inquiry and professional clearance. The only
Okay.
way you can know is where there exists a relationship between the outgoing audit firm and the incoming audit firm. Because, for instance, if I want to take up a new audit engagement from from your own client now, I will able to tell you that, oh, please guide me. Are they owing you? And what kind of client are they? You must give me that insight about the client. So in that way, you will know. So if he's owing, you can say that yes, I agree to take up this appointment, provided you settle all outstanding with your outgoing audit firm. It's all to to eliminate bitterness within the system. Okay. For instance, now if they are owing the outgoing and that one left, what's the guarantee that they will not do the same thing to you as an audit firm? You understand? So it's just to promote equity, okay, and to reduce envy or bitterness or disgruntledness amongst the audit firm. All that is clear.
Yeah, that is clear, but they say parts that I have not still gotten clear.
Please go ahead. Which part?
Yes. Okay. I'm coming from the angle of, okay, let's say auditor ABC uh
Mm-hmm.
to due to some reasons wants to step down from being a client audit a
Yes.
client like a particular an auditor to a firm. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how can this auditor ABC ensure that unpaid remuneration are gotten? And also the auditing, how can they
Mm-hmm.
also ensure that the money that they've paid, maybe they paid
Mm.
up or something, that they get their money back due to this resignation?
Oh, okay. You're talking about that.
Yes.
Now, remember, I gave you reasons for resignation. I gave you reasons for resignation. So it is not the auditor that decided to resign. There were circumstances that led to his resignation. Obviously, the auditor will not resign without completing his engagement when there is no circumstance. For instance, now his tenure is due, is due in September, and he has an ongoing engagement with them. So he will ensure he completes that. But for instance, when there are issues such as what? Integrity issues, this uh, breakdown of communication, and other issues that are negative, it's not his issue, it's not his problem. And that is the reason why we talk about the requisition in meeting. The essence of that requisition in a meeting is to allow for what? Dialogue. That it here. To allow for what? Dialogue. So the essence of that is for them to be able to come to a what? A conclusion, whether they will resolve it, and if it remains unsolved, they'll be the one that will lose, but they are the one that frustrated the effort of the auditor. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Shiro? Is it clear now?
Yeah. Okay, yes, thank you. Please, I have another
That's what
question.
Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So when you're explaining removal of auditor,
Yes.
you talked about the auditee removing like from the angle of the auditee removing the auditor.
Yes.
My question now is that the only means or only is that the only means in which an auditor can be removed? Can any other person remove an auditor apart from the company that is being audited?
Unless there are issues that are being reported to the regulators, and those ones are very rare. When regulators means, for instance, ICANN found out that the audit firm is fraudulent, or they see that all they have been doing, they are not doing it according to their set down regulations. Okay, that means that they can withhold the license of the company. Or let's say that the audit firm has involved in some form of collusion that led to the winding up or liquidation of that client company. They can do that also. Remember what happened when there is corporate governance? Remember what happened in the case of Enron versus what's that thing? Otto Anderson, where the regulators in US that regulates the accounting and audit profession, they withhold a license of Otto Anderson forever. So those could be other instances that could lead to removal of an auditor. But in line with, because removal of an auditor, the only person that can remove an auditor from a client engagement are the client or is the client themselves. And they cannot just remove him or her because they don't like the person's face or approach. They must follow the due process. There must be a documented resolution. Okay? And for that resolution to stand, there must have been what? Vote. There must have been what? Vote. So is that will be the criteria for doing that. All right? Do you have any other question, please? Excuse me.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right.
Yes, sir. Please, can you hear me, sir? Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead, please.
So I would like to confirm this. So
Go ahead, please.
you mean an auditor cannot just resign from his duty? Maybe he got an offer that is higher than
Is that?
where you mean an auditor cannot just resign, maybe because he had another offer which will require much time and the pay is more than the current
Yes.
one?
Please recap. Sorry, the network is breaking. Can you write it? Please write it on the chat box. Let me see.
All right, sir, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
All right. So what I want to confirm is there is not any maybe a site whereby the auditor can resign because he had another offer. It's not possible
No,
that way. There must be
no, 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 no,
reason.
no, no, no. When you have another offer and wants to leave.
Maybe that will require much of his time and he wouldn't want to continue in the other firm.
No. You know, if he
It's
does
not
that, right?
it's not a
If
genuine reason. It's not a genuine reason.
no, if he does that, then you justify what Oluwaseun was saying that time. You need to refund. You will need to make some refund because it's the one that wanted to leave now. And remember, if you look at tendering, we talk about initial consideration. That means that his preliminary audit risk assessment was defective or was faulty about the client initially because you cannot like my people will always say you cannot enter you cannot how do I say, I don't want to, let me use it in normal local palace. You cannot enter the water or the pool or the river and now be shouting that you are feeling cold. It's not possible. You know what you are going in for when you took up the engagement. So if you are backing out now because of the intricacies of the engagement, you need to make some refund and you need to write a letter of apology. And that's the essence of you carrying out a preliminary audit risk assessment. So if you have done that, that means that the preliminary risk assessment that was initially done was not properly done. Because all of these things should have come to light when you are doing it. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I hope I'll be able to answer your question. Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much. Now, if you go to May 2023, question number 2. Can you see my screen? Can you see that question?
Yes, sir.
Are you seeing that question?
Yes, you can see it.
Good. So look at it. This question, I'm going to send it to us, and I want us to try to answer. It's an assignment to us. The first question is state the auditor's rights under Companies and Allied Matters Act. You must not look at that answer. If you look at that answer, I will know. I will know if you look at the suggested solution. Number 2, state the duties of external auditor under CAMA. Number 3, what are the responsibilities of management and those charged with governance in relation to accounting function of the company? These 3 questions are what I want you to answer. It is not related to, don't relate it to, okay, you can even relate it. You can relate to that question. So question 2, exclude requirement A, answer requirement B, C, D. So I'm going to put this now on the WhatsApp as your question, as assignment. Please endeavor to attempt. I didn't say you should answer. Attempt the question. Failure to attempt this question means that I will just come on board, take the topic, and I will not ask questions again. Okay? So for you to encourage me, once I send this question, it's expected that you all attempt it and submit it before the next class. That will show that we are all serious-minded professionals. Are you people giving me your word that you're going to do it? So these are the questions. I don't want us to answer it using chorus answer. Okay? I will have said that we should look at it now. Chorus answer, but I know some of us might not derive value from it. So for you to obtain maximum value, please endeavor to attempt this question. I will post it on the WhatsApp platform immediately after the class ends. And please submit your answers to me on or before the next class Friday. If you don't submit it, I will not submit the answer to you. I will assume that we have all understood this chapter 3. But if you submit it, and I saw that the population or the responses is fair enough, the answers will be provided before the next class so that you can know where there are issues. And also the essence of it is to see how you answer ICANN questions. Some of us, if I ask this, if I give you this study pack, you can summarize it for me. But when it comes to you answering questions, you find difficulty in answering questions. And I hope you know that this last die that they did, audit and assurance, is the paper that had the least score. Okay, less than 800 people pass audits all over the world. All the students that start for ICANN, less than 800 people pass audits. What does that mean? That means the way we answer questions are not fair enough, are not good enough. That's why you can't get good score. PM, you have over 1,000 people. CSM, you have over 1,000 people. Audit is what has the lowest. Okay? So for you to be among the statistics of you that are going to succeed, endeavor to always attempt every assignment that is sent to you. Do not say you were not told. Please do not say you were not informed. All I'm trying to do is to help us to pass. Okay? One part is to listen to the lecture. The second part is to do what? To be able to apply what you have learned to the questions. And you can see, I'm not giving a question that is outside what I've taught you. The questions are related to the topic that we have discussed. Please, you do yourself a whole lot of good by attempting this question. I didn't say you should answer it. Attempt. Even if I can exactly tell you, attempt the question. So please, this May 2023, question number 2, requirement B, C, D. Don't answer the A part. A part you have not looked at that. That is your chapter 13 or so, right? We have not looked at that already. So leave that one. Just answer the B, C, D. I will post the question, okay? I will munch it and put it on the WhatsApp. Please, do not take it for granted. For you to pass, it's not by listening alone, it's by doing. Both of them, you have to listen and you have to act accordingly. Okay? Thank you so much. Any other question? Any other comment? Any other question? Any other comment? If there are no questions, no comments, we are going to we are coming to the end of the class. Okay, we have come to the end of the class for today. But if you have questions, please, you are free to ask me. I'll be willing to answer your questions. All right. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask your question. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask your questions. Thank you. If there are no questions, who has a question?
Mine is not a question actually, just a plea. If you can always send the material ahead of time.
Okay, noted. Sorry about that.
Thank
I was supposed to have shared it earlier, but I think I was carried away in other things that I was saying. Sorry, it's noted, eh? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So I'm posting the question here. Please attempt the question. Okay. If there's no other question, the class has come to an end for tonight. Thank you so much. Make an attempt of this question. Do not say I did not tell you this one. You posted the question, so please go and attempt it. Like I said, everybody should attempt it. Okay? And I'll be expecting your suggested solution by latest by Thursday or afternoon of Friday. If I don't see it, it's assumed that we are all dead. So thank you so much. Have a good night rest. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Good night.
All right.